All right, let's talk about something really deep and honestly often misunderstood when it comes to borderline personality disorder. We're going to get into that profound, persistent feeling of just emptiness, what it really is, where it comes from, and most importantly, how you can start to find your way through it.
And I'm not talking about feeling peaceful or calm. I mean a true hollow void. That feeling where you're physically there, but the very essence of you just feels gone. It's this emotional silence that's so loud it feels like it's swallowing you whole. So it's really important we get this straight right from the start. The emptiness we're discussing here, it's not sadness. Sadness is a feeling you have in response to something. This is the absence of feeling. It's a deep, deep disconnection from yourself, from other people, from life itself. There is a clinical term for this, chronic emptiness, and it's one of the core features of BPD. See, it's not just a bad mood that comes and goes. It's this ongoing, persistent state where life just feels totally hollow and you feel cut off from everything, no matter how much you try to connect.
Wow. This line it really hits on the incredible weight of this feeling. It's a terrifying way to exist, almost like being a ghost in your own life, where nothing feels substantial enough to be real. To really get what this feels like, let's talk about a man named David. Now, from the outside, you'd think he had it all together. A job, an apartment, friends. But on the inside, he was in a constant battle with this massive, gaping void.
I mean, David's own words just perfectly capture that sense of disconnection. It's like you're separated from the whole human experience by this invisible wall. You can see life happening, you can hear it, but you can't actually feel it. You're not part of it. And this emptiness, it would push him to do some pretty desperate things. Impulsive spending sprees, picking fights for no reason, driving way too fast. It was all just an attempt to spark any kind of feeling, just to prove to himself that he was still there. But the relief, it never lasted. And the void would just rush back in, feeling even bigger and colder than before.
David's story really brings up the million-dollar question, doesn't it? What is actually causing this horrible, debilitating feeling? To figure that out, we've got to look a little deeper into the psychology behind it all. Okay, so now we're going to pull back the curtain a bit and look at the psychological and even the neurological reasons for this void. Because it's not just a feeling. It's actually rooted in how our sense of self and even our brain develops.
At the very heart of this is something called identity disturbance. For a lot of people with BPD, a solid, stable sense of who they actually are, it just never fully formed. It's kind of like trying to build a house, but the foundation is made of sand.
And you can often trace the roots of this right back to childhood. I mean, if you grow up in an environment where your feelings are constantly dismissed or punished or just unsafe, you learn not to trust your own inner world. So you become a chameleon. You learn to just mirror what other people want you to be to survive. And you bury your real feelings so deep that eventually you can't even find them yourself.
This is such a powerful way to think about what happens next. If your whole identity is just a reflection of whoever you're with, what happens when you're by yourself? There's no one there to mirror. The whole thing just shatters. And all that's left behind is that emptiness.
And neuroscience actually gives us another piece of this puzzle. In the brains of people with BPD, the emotional center, the amygdala, can be super reactive. It fires off intensely. But the part that's supposed to help regulate those emotions and give you a stable sense of self, the prefrontal cortex, it just doesn't quite balance it out. So think about what that means. When all those intense emotions finally die down, the brain doesn't just return to a nice, calm, neutral state. No, it drops off a cliff into a void, an absence of self. And that's exactly why the silence is so terrifying. It isn't peace, it's a total erasure.
And David's words here just bring it all home. When you see it from this perspective, you can suddenly understand why someone would almost seek out chaos or drama or intense anger. Yeah, pain and conflict are awful, but they're also proof that you exist. And for some, that's way better than the alternative, which is feeling nothing at all.
But here's the good news. The story does not end in the void. For David, a huge turning point, a real moment of change, actually started in a super simple, everyday place. It was the beginning of a shift from just trying to survive the emptiness to actually learning how to live with it. That was it.
That was the simple sentence said by a stranger feeding cats in a park that just cracked something open for David. It wasn't some dramatic, overnight cure. It was this small, quiet thought. Maybe connection and purpose can start with one tiny action that's focused on something outside of yourself.
So in therapy, David started to learn some really concrete strategies. First, he just gave the feeling a name, the void, and just naming it took away some of its scary power. Then he started building these small, meaningful routines to keep him grounded. He practiced connecting with people for real instead of just performing for them. And through therapy, and actually volunteering, he slowly learned self-compassion and started building a life that had purpose.
A huge part of this journey was a concept from dialectical behavior therapy called radical acceptance. And this was a game changer. The goal totally shifted. It wasn't about trying to destroy or get rid of the void anymore. It was about learning to just acknowledge it's there and not let it be the boss. And this right here is such a critical way to reframe the whole thing. The real antidote to feeling nothing isn't trying to feel happy all the time. It's about building genuine connection to a purpose, to other people, and yeah, most importantly, connection back to yourself. And here, you can just hear the incredible transformation in David's thinking. He took his power back. Sure, the emptiness might still visit sometimes, but it doesn't define who he is anymore. It's become a space, maybe a canvas instead of a prison.
And that right there is probably the most important thing to hold on to. That feeling of emptiness is not your identity. The very fact that you can observe it, that you can feel how much it hurts, that is proof that the real you is separate from it. You are the one looking into the void.
And finally, if any of this sounds familiar, if it resonates with you, please know this. This struggle is so real, but so is the path to healing. You're not broken, and you are absolutely not alone in feeling this way.